automate some of the complicated procedures you're going to go through so that you don't have to remember every step in the future. I'm going to use, as an example, my technique that I showed earlier in one of the videos on creating more detail and sharpness in an image using the blur tool. It's a good technique to automate since there are a lot of steps into it, and you may not remember this months from now when you want to use it. So here's how to automate a tool. I'm going to start off by going up to the Actions button up here. If you don't see the Actions button on the sidebar, go to Windows and make sure that Actions is clicked. Okay, Actions is now clicked and it's on the sidebar. Okay, and make sure it's clicked. That'll make sure it's on the sidebar. Now, when I want to start an Actions, you can create a folder. I've created a folder here called My Actions. A way to create a folder is simply click using the folder. Actually, I should say it's a set, I guess they call it here, and call this whatever you'd like it. I called it My Actions and say OK. That way, when you can organize your actions into different folders if you'd like. Okay, so I'll say cancel on that. I'm going to then start by using the plus little start actions here. Click on that, and I'm going to call this Actions Enhance Detail. Okay, if I could spell enhance, it would probably even be better. Enhance. Again, it's pretty hard when you can't spell to do these things right. Detail with blur. Okay, because there are several ways I used to. This will be with blur, and I'll start my recording. The little recording button's going here. To stop the recording, I'll have to hit this square button over here. So now anything I do gets recorded. I'm going to start the process off now. I'm going to go to the background here, hit Command J, copy it. Okay, and now I'll hit Command J and copy it again. I've got two copies here. I'm going to group these two into a group. I'm going to rename this group Enhanced Detail. Won't worry too much about the spelling on this one this time. Enhanced Detail. I'm going to change the blend mode of the group into overlay. And all this is being recorded. As you see over here, it's being recorded as I do it. Then I'm going to go to the second layer down here. I'm going to convert this to a smart object, smart filter. That's so that when I do the next step, I can go back and change it. Especially if I'm doing an action, I may want to go back and tweak it's for different images. I might want to tweak the effect. So now it's a smart object. Anything I do to that will be done with the smart object. I can get undone. I'm going to invert that layer by doing Command I. It inverted that layer. Then I'm going to change the blend mode of this layer to Vivid Light. And now that that's not done anything to the image. If I turn this group on and off, you'll see the image. Nothing's happened so far. So I'm going to go back to the inverted layer. I'm not going to apply the magic. I'll go to Filter, Blur, Surface Blur. Apply the surface blur to this image. And remember, the more pixels radius that I use, the bigger the details will be, the grittier it'll be, if you will. The threshold also affects the look. The beauty of having this as a smart object is you can come back in here and tweak these settings later on if you want. So we'll use the settings that are here for the action, because they can always be tweaked when I run this thing later. So let's let it do its thing here. This blur tool takes a little. The surface blur tool is always a slow tool. I'm using a slower PC for this. Should be using my faster one. Okay, I'll say OK and commit to that. It's now going to commit that surface blur. It's done that. I can now stop the action. Okay, stop the action. Now this action stopped going. And if I look at the action from the very beginning here, go back, enhance surface blur. You can see I collapse it. I can open it. I can go back and look at see the steps that it went through. You know, make group, from group, etc., etc. These are all the steps we went through. So that's how you do that. just to show that this action does in fact work. Uh, let me go back in and zoom into this picture and look at what this layer did. This is the before picture, especially look at the skin here, and this is the after. You can see it's done a lot to enhance the detail in the picture. And obviously I could add a mask to this and just add the detail to specific spots that I want to. So that's how you create an action. How do we run an action? It's simple enough. Let's take the what we did before off. I'll take this enhanced detail group out of here and dump it. Take it to the ash can, dump it out. We'll start where we did before. This is where we started before. Let's go to the actions. Let's take the enhanced detail with blur, and I'll highlight this, and I'll hit the run button right here. What we did before now starts to run. You'll see it start to build over here as it goes through. It's building. It's creating the surface blur. Keeps on running until it creates that blur effect. It still takes the same time to create that blur. But this is all automated. I don't have to remember the steps now. So when it's finished, I got what I had before, except more quickly. Now the beauty of this is I can apply it to different pictures now. In order for actions to run, though, the picture has to be in the same state as this one was. So if you sometimes it won't run exactly the way you want it to run. You'll have to sort of figure that one out, if you will. But listening to this tape, I used the same I used the term "same state" just a couple of seconds ago. Need to explain that. This action started off. Remember my using Command or Control J to copy the layer. If you're sitting there with an image and your top layer that you're trying to run a Command J or Control J on is say an adjustment layer, it's not going to start the same way. So make sure your top layer that you're using is a pixel layer, the picture layer, and then it'll run properly. But again, I can look at this before and after effect on the enhanced blur, turn that on and off, and you can see the detail effect on and off. Okay.